So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream, live Thursday, all day. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I wanted to kind of do a cheapy kind of, I'm a tight Yorkshire lass, as everybody knows. So I thought I would do a bit of colour matching and colour mixing with a limited palette. So if you wanted to play with oils, acrylics, watercolours, gouache, color2s, Derwent watercolour pencils, anything that's water-based, or if it's oils or acrylics, your colour mixing is about the same. Sometimes there's different mixes to go with them, so if it's water for watercolour and it's distilled terps, and stand oil and oils for oil paints, but basically you're mixing the colours and it's the pigments you are mixing together. So this means that you can mix any colour you want to with just 3 colours. Now I'm not talking about hues or tints, I'm talking about just pure colours. So we've got reds, we've got greens, we've got yellows, we've got blues, we've got purples, and we've got oranges. So if you wanted to play with color2s and thought, well, I can't really afford all of them, I've managed to find from, I think they said Asda for £1 or £1.99. It's quite a big, it's a chopping board, so it's got some kind of texture to it. Now I prefer my plastic palettes not to have a texture, but this is quite an old one, and this is what I normally mix my color2s on, because I'm a tight Yorkshire lass. I can get every scrap of colour off there. If there's a little bit of a tooth, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but instead of paying £10 for a Caran D color2 palette, I've just picked up this particular one, and I will measure it, but I think, it's roughly about a printer paper size. It's maybe 12 by 8.5, 8, something like that. Just can't put my hand on my ruler at the minute. In centimetres, it is 32 by 23.5, something like that. But unfortunately my other ruler has disappeared. So I thought I would paint this, or colour in this particular Imagimorphia by Kerby-Roseanne. This page is trees, but it's a tree, but it has lots of fishy things on it. It's not necessarily plants, but it does have plants. So it gave me the idea to make some greys from a colour wheel. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to make a colour wheel. Now I've been making grungy colours with, oops, it's not in here. I've made some grungy colours with professional watercolours, and I painted the little mechanical man, wherever he is in here. Sorry, there is a mechanical man. In fact, there's 2. I normally put the sticky at the bottom. So this is color2s grungy. So that's just very delicately putting a red swish of red paint over the green after I've activated it, and then the green's picked up and gone over the red. And there's a couple of videos of that. It's a little bit tricky at the start, because if you wipe twice you get a grey. Now this is watercolour, but I wanted to show how you can get some really gorgeous greys and also some shadow colours from brights by using complementary colours. Not grey, not white, not black, not Payne's grey, just using the 6 main colours. So you could buy 6 colours and you could make your own colours and then turn them into grains and tints and tones without using white or grey or black. So I've got 6 main colours. Now these are not my identical colours that I always use, but they're the best representation I can get. So we have a lemon yellow, a very cold yellow. We have a cadmium yellow, a very warm yellow. We have a cadmium, we have a cadmium red. It's a very cold red. We have Elysian crimson, a very pinky red. We have a cerulean blue, a very cold blue, and we have ultramarine, a very warm purpley blue. So I've scratched each colour where it would be on a colour wheel. It's not as I traditionally put out a palette with colour, but it's a colour wheel because we want to show where the other colours will sit and what the complementary colour is. So our blues sit there, and these may not sit. Our reds sit at the top and our yellows sit there. So basically these are our main primary colours, and our primary colours are red, yellow and blue. But in order to make every colour on the planet, we need 2 of each. We need a pinky purple one and we need a cold one. We need a cold yellow, we need a warm yellow. We need a cold red, we need a warm red. And what that means is if we mix the warm cadmium yellow with the cold cadmium red, we get a very bright orange. If we mix a very purpley red Elysian crimson with a very purpley blue ultramarine, we get a very bright purple. And if we mix a very cold lemon yellow with a very cold cerulean blue, we get a very bright green. So if you have a purple and you have a purple blue and an orange yellow, you won't get a very bright green. You'll get greens but not very bright. So we want the colours that are nearest on the colour wheel, and that's these 4 colours. The same as if you have cadmium red and cerulean blue, you're not going to get a bright purple. So you need the pinky reds. So when you're looking at colours and colours to buy, always make sure you have 2 of the primaries in each colour. So I've mixed 2 colours together so we can see that the pinky red, and I'm not sure if this is working because I've never used this palette before. This is just a chopping board, but it kind of looked very similar. So I will just get a little bit of paper and do our pinky red. Oh yes, that's a lovely pinky red. I have to clean my brush. So then we have a cadmium, cold cadmium red. Oh yes, I can see instantly it's different. This is the pinky red, this is the cold red. Now you don't necessarily have to have the 2 I've said. You can have any colour pinky red, any colour cold red, as long as you have a difference, because you need the pinky red for the purple and you need the cold red for the orange. So now we'll do the yellow. So now we have the lemon, cold lemon yellow. And that just looks like a yellow until you put the cadmium yellow next to it. And you can see it's a bit warmer. I put a bit too much water to that one. So then we'll just look at the cold blue. Yeah, that's a cold blue. You can't say that's a purple blue. And the same with the purple blue, the ultramarine. You can't say it's cold because it's not. So for my next trick, we are going to make secondary colours. So we've only bought 6 colours. We've spent the money on 6 color2s, which is a lot cheaper than 106 color2s. But that goes for anything. If these were watercolours, you would buy 6 watercolours. If this was oil paints, you'd buy 6 oil paints. And you can still make hundreds of colours. So don't ever think you need thousands of colours in the same medium, because you don't. It goes for acrylics, gouache, anything. So we're going to take a little bit of this. This is the French ultramarine, the purple blue, and I've scratched it together with a bit of Elysium crimson. I'm going to move these to one side because they're going to get damaged. So we have got a pinky red and a purple blue, and of course we end up with quite a nice purple. The same with the cadmium yellow and cadmium red, cold red. We have now got quite a nice orange. And lastly but not least, excuse my stomach because I've not eaten all day, is a cold blue and a cold yellow. And we have a green. So we've made 2 secondary colours from 6. So now we have 9 colours. So we've got 9 colours, but we started with 6. So let's mix some different colours. We'll mix this blue and we'll mix this yellow, and I'm going to do that one here. So we've got this blue and we've got the cold yellow, and then I'm going to mix the cold blue with the warm yellow. So we've got next to each other on the colour wheel, and we've got further away but next to each other, and then we've got further away but next to each other, and then last but not least we want the coldest, the purple blue and the warmest cadmium orange. Sorry, beg your pardon, cadmium yellow. I do apologise. So what we have now is we have a bright green, but we can mix these two together. I might have to go to a different brush actually. I don't think I've got any water in this. But what's this? This is blue and yellow. And blue and yellow make a green. But it's a dark green. It's a dull green. We'll have to swap to a brush, sorry. So now we've got another 2 colours. So we've got a cold blue and a warm yellow. Oh, and that's not so bad. That's quite a nice colour. So now we've got French ultramarine and cadmium yellow. oh my goodness, I got a dark green. But that's fine. I have now got 4 greens from 2 of each primary colour. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. I don't know where that came from. Okay, so we've got some greens now. So there's no greens in this pack. You know, we've bought these 6 colours. There's not a green in sight, but we've got some dark greens, we've got some light greens, and we've got some bright greens, and we've got some dull greens, because we've used our 4 different primaries. So let's look at our oranges. So we're going to have, this is a red. It's a red, but it's a pinky red. And this is a yellow, but it's, oh, we'll do that one last. We'll do the cadmium. Now remember, the cadmium yellow works really well when it's with that red. But moving away from the 2 nearest ones, we're using this one. And then we can use the cadmium red, which is the cold red, with the cold yellow. Did I get the right yellow then? Yeah, that's the warm one and that's the cold one. So again, we've swapped. And then we can use the 2 coldest, the 2 furthest away. So these are the 2 nearest, these are 2 furthest. So that one is the cold yellow and the alizarin crimson, the pink. So we have got a red and a yellow. So in theory, we should have an orange. Yep, we've still got an orange of sorts. We have an orange. It's still an orange, but it's a salmon pink orange, so now you know how to make salmon pink. But the yellow, the cold yellow, and the pinky red, that one is probably a ruby or a cherry, but it's not going to be an orange because it's too pink. There's no way, and yet we've used the same amount of colour from both of them, but there is no way that that is an orange. And it's definitely not a bright orange. So if you want a bright, pure orange, you want the colours that are nearest to the wheel on a colour wheel. So that's your warmest cadmium yellow and your cadmium red. And funnily enough, it makes cadmium orange. And if you look to see cadmium orange, you'll find that's the brightest. So now let's do our purples. And these are the most difficult. But bearing in mind, we haven't got a purple. We've got reds, we've got blues, and we've got yellows. So what we're going to do is take our 2 blues and our 2 reds. So we have red there. So our 2 nearest ones are our alizarin crimson, which is our red purple, and our ultramarine or French ultramarine, which is our blue purple. And funnily enough, they make the brightest blue. Sorry, they make the brightest purple. So let's take a cold blue and a warm pink. And then we can take a warm purple and a cadmium cold red. And then we can take our cold blue and our cold red. We've still got reds and blues. Reds and blues make purple. Or do they? So, our next one is our lovely pinky red, but our cold blue. And we get a mauve or a lilac, but it's a dull purple. It's not a bright purple. It has a bit of dullness to it. The next one is our purpley blue and our cold red. Now I like this colour. It's a very dark, dull purple. So if you were doing some shadows of a big bright purple poppy, that would be wonderful for a shadow. But it's a red and it's a blue, and this is why you need the two reds and the two blues, because there's no way on earth that you can make a bright purple unless you have a pinky red and a purple blue. And last but not least, we have the cold Elysian cerulean blue, and we have the cold cadmium red. And that's an even colder purple, not that gorgeous rich purple that we're used to. It's still a gorgeous colour, and you probably see all these colours in the Neo set, but we've made them by mixing just two of each primaries together. So now we have 4 purples, 4 oranges and 4 greens, and our 2 reds and our 2 yellows and our 2 blues. So we want to make a brown. Well, we'll go to greys first. So I think that most of those colours on here would be enough. So you want cobalt blue. So let's mix these 2 blues together. A very cold blue, and we'll mix a very cold purple. And there's normally roughly 50-50. I'm not trying to do anything special with them. I'm just trying to do, so I'm just going to move that over there because it's driving me insane tapping, so apologies. That's better, I've got the water dish next to me now. So we've got a cold blue and we've got a warm purpley blue. Just need a touch more water. Oh, we've got a lovely, almost a cobalt blue. So we've got a cobalt blue there. We've got a really nice blue. It's not quite a purpley blue and it's not a cold blue. It's maybe a royal blue or a true blue. It's just a blue. So now we've got 3 blues. Oh, so let's have a look at this then. So we've got a bright pink Elysian crimson. And we've got a cadmium red. And my brush is clean. Just want a little bit of water on it now. We'll mix those together. Now this is my favourite colour that I mixed for my mushrooms, because the Elysian crimson is too pink and the cadmium red is too cold. And I love this colour for my mushrooms because it's not too pink and it's not too cold. It's perfectly in the middle. And I would think that's probably like a ruby red. And I'll show you some more in a second. So my next trick is to make an orange, and the best place to make an orange is a cadmium red and a cadmium yellow. Sorry, I think I mixed the wrong one then. Did I? No, I didn't. So we've got cadmium red and cadmium yellow. So we're going to mix those together and we're going to make our orange. And just to prove it's orange, it's our bright orange. But I'm then going to put cadmium red to it. This is our cold cadmium red. So we've got orange and cadmium red. And so that's going to go between here. And that's vermilion. Vermilion isn't a pinky red, and it's not quite strong, a reddy red. It's an orangey red. So now we have a vermilion. So a vermilion is between an orange and a cadmium red. So it's a tertiary colour. So let's take that the other way. So we want the two, what's in between that one now? So I made an orange. We'll do the purple one. So we'll make purple. So we want French ultramarine and alizarin crimson, and then we want alizarin crimson. So basically what we're doing is we're making the purple, and it shouldn't be far out, it's still that really rich purple because it's got the two exact colours on it. But then we're going to put some alizarin crimson next to it. Now that is a bit watery. So that one goes in the middle, and that's a mauve, or it's a medium. It's not a reddy. It's a pinky purple. It's not a blue purple. It's a red purple. So you've got a red purple, and I just can't think off the top of my head what a red purple is. Oh, that says it's a purple, but it's probably, I just can't think what they're called. I will tell you in a bit. So now we've got a red purple, which is a tertiary. So let's have a look at a purple blue. So we want to make the purple again, which is French ultramarine. It is wearing these down a little bit, but not as much as I thought it was. So ultramarine and alizarin crimson. So we're going to make another purple. Which, to prove it's the purple, it's exactly the same purple, but this time we're going to put the blue next to it. Again, it's the French ultramarine blue, but it now becomes a blue purple. So we've got a pink purple and a blue purple. So we have another one directly in between those colours. So we've got our, the next one to do is to make our green. So our best green is the cold yellow and the cold blue, cerulean blue and lemon yellow, and I think that makes the brightest green. There we have our bright green, but we want to add blue to that, so we're adding some more of our cerulean blue, our cold blue. And we put that together. And we have a turquoisey greeny blue. So then we have a blue-green And you could actually put a little bit more blue and you'd have a blue-green. So you'd have a blue turquoise, or if you left it on this side, you'd have the green turquoise. So you get a kind of a different colour. So you can have two tertiaries in between. So lastly, we'll do the cold yellow again. And the cold blue. And we'll make our other green. Again, it's exactly the same green, but this time we're going to put some more cold yellow to it. So now we've made a pea green or a pale grass green. We've made a green in between, and again, if you have more green than two greens to one yellow, you've got the green in the middle, and if you have more yellow than the other green again, you'll have another yellow. So you can make another two greens on the either side of that. So now we come to the most exciting thing, because one of the gorgeous colours on the planet, which any watercolourist will tell you, is gamboge. So we're going to make an orange, which is the cadmium warm yellow and cadmium red. So let's make the orange. So we've made the orange, just to prove it's the same. It's an orange. But we're going to add another section, or another dollop, depending if you're using watercolours or acrylics or whatever, and we're going to mix this in. So now we have a colour that's in between the yellow and the orange. Now I would say that one is there is an orangey red. Sorry, there's an orangey yellow, beg your pardon. But if we just put that again right next to the cadmium yellow, so we've got two yellows to one red, we end up with gamboge. And if you go the other way, you've got another one in between. So you can end up with another two colours in between each tertiary colour. So we've got the tertiary colour, and then we've got another two colours in between. That's a lot of colours. That is a lot of colours. And gamboge is just a hint away from cadmium yellow. So you're two away from orange. But you can go the other way. You can have two orange to one other red, and that will give you vermilion. It will give you an orange red. So you've got all these colours which we know are traditional colours, but we can make them. Now they're not traditionally the perfect exact colour of the professional pigments that people spend hundreds of pounds, but they are a similar colour. It's very similar to this red. This is a cold red, but it's scarlet. Now scarlet is just to the right. It's not the coldest, but I've still made a gorgeous orange because it's a cold red. So you can make all these colours. We have all these colours, and we've not even started mixing any colours yet. So you can have quite a few tertiary colours and complementary colours. Primaries. We still have our 6 primaries, but by adding our primaries to our secondaries, we can tertiaries, and then by adding another primary to a tertiary, or a tertiary to a secondary, we've got lots of other little colours in between. And the same with these two. You have 2 alizarin crimsons to 1 cadmium, and that's your scarlet. You have 2 cadmiums and a little bit of scarlet, and that's your vermilion. And you've got ruby reds, and you've got lakes. The crimson lakes, they're the same. Chrisma is just out of alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson is the pinkiest pink, but next to it is there's a carmine that's in between there somewhere. So you've got all those reds which we know of names are all in between here, and then we've got all our red purples, all our purples, all our purple blues, then we've got our blue purples, then we've got our blues, then we've got our blue cold blues, then we've got our blue greens, we've got our green blues, and you kind of go all the way round, and you can put hundreds of colours in there, but you can make most of them. So we have an orangey yellow, that's in between a yellow and an orange. We can make a yellowy green, that's between a green and a yellow. We can make a bluey green, that's between a blue and a green. We can make a purple blue, that's between the purple and the blue. So we've got the purple and we've got the blue, and we can also make a blue purple. If we make that slightly more purple than blue, it becomes a purple blue, or a purple blue. Here at this side it would become a blue purple, because it's got 2 lots of blue and it's got 1 lot of purple. So by mixing these slightly changes, a bit like having 1 ounce and 2 ounces, or doubling it and halving it and quartering it, you then become all the orangey reds, all the oranges, all the yellowy oranges, all the yellows, all the cold yellows, the greeny yellows, the greens, then we've got the greeny blues, then you've got your blue greens, then you've got your cold blues, your warm blues, your purple blues, and you can just keep going on and on and on. And these are still pure, they're called hues, or they're colours. They're not tints, they're not tones, they are not added white to them or black to them, or they've not complementary colours. So we've not even gone to the shades and tones and tints, we're still on just colour. And they're all from 6 sticks of colour, whether it is a watercolour crayon, a watercolour pencil, whether it is a watercolour, it's oils, acrylics, acrylic gouache, inks. Inks are slightly different, but the colour pigment will react the same. If you have a pink and you have a red, a cold red, you mix them together, you're going to get something in the middle. So if you've got a cold red and you've got a cold yellow and mix them together, you're going to get an orange. Did that make any sense? So although we have only got 6 colours, we can make a lot more. Now you wouldn't mix them like this, you would scratch your colour as you went along. So you'd have your blue here, and you'd put the blue at that side and the blue at that side, and then you'd have your purpley blue, and you'd have 1, 2, 3. So you're going to mix this one with this one on this one, and this one with this one, and you'd do that all the way around, and you'd end up with hundreds and hundreds of colours. From 6, we've got an orange, we've got greens, we've got purples coming out of our ears. We don't need to buy a purple, we don't need to buy a green. We've got grass green, we've got rich greens, we've got dark greens, and that's without making any greys or tones. It's just, we can mix these colours and use them. But what you can then do, and I've made a bit of a pig's ear of this, if I dry this at this side and put that down, so we know what we're doing with that. So what we want to do now is to make some greys. And we're not going to use black, white, Payne's grey, coal grey, pink grey. We're not going to make any of that. We're going to make greys with our complementary colours. So we're going to make, which one am I going to use? I'm going to make a green first. And then I'm going to make an orange. And then I'm going to make, a purple. So I've got green. When I mix them together, I'll have green, orange and purple. So I then have a red. So I'm going to use my ready red, I think. I haven't put that in the right place. I'm going to use my... I'm going to use both. I'm going to use both for a reason, and I'll show you why. So I want both my blues. Alright, I'm actually going to mix these two together, I've just decided. And then I've got my two yellows. So to save confusion, I've still got my 6 colours. And I've lost my baby wipe. So I'm going to mix. I need to drop more water, it does help. So I've got a yellow. Now I don't know how strong these are or how good these are. I'm just mixing them. I've got my orange. My green. I hate washing my colour away, but never mind. I've got my middle blue, so cobalt blue probably is a good one. I've got my purple, and lastly I've got my probably Scarlet Lake. Is probably in the middle. So I have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful flower. And I want to make that dull. I just pinch, a bit of green. And I've dulled that colour down straight away by adding green. And the green, by adding a little bit of the red, is now a dull green, it's not a bright green. The blue, by adding a touch of, I put too much there, I'll put that back up to there. So the blue into the orange has dulled it down, and a bit of the orange into the blue has dulled it down. And the same with the purple. So we've got a bit of yellow, has made a dull purple, and the tiniest little bit of purple has dulled that yellow down. So we've made a tonal grey of our bright colours by adding the complementary colour. So we've got all these colours here. Oops, I hope that was dry. I think it was. So we've got all these colours, but by adding a little bit of the complementary colour, we've now got some different colours, some shadows, some shadow colours, some tints and tones. Now we could add white, which is a tint, and a tone is a darker. Now some people add grey and black, I add complementary colours. And you can take these down to some really grey colours if you want to. Now I seem to have got quite a lot of colours on here, but I want to use the greys. So if I take that, it was a bright green. And let me find a green, something green. Here we go, a green here. I have a grey green. I have taken it to extremes, but I have a grey green. This brush is a little bit too wet. So it is technically a grey green.